Renan Aguirre, and of course to my sis Annalyn Barles from Anabu, Imus National High School next, and to my nephews, of course, in Cebu. Out to Felipa Alcalde. Hi, good afternoon, and Miss Anna Grace uh, Mayuga Filio. Good afternoon. So let me begin with my presentation by sharing my slide on home literacy activities. And it's about, I prepared about 50 slides, and I'll try my best to deliver this within an hour. And then so I can entertain questions from 3 o'clock to 3:30. So I'm requesting my moderator to remind me every now and then, so I will be able to finish my content within for learners to become to be able to learn how to listen attentively to lessons. But remember that listening skills, their listening ability starts at home, like any other learning styles, any learning capacities. It all stems from what happens at home. That's why I came up with the word home literacy. Actually, it's a buzzword in all literacy associations in the world. It's more of home literacy activities. So it will be a two-part presentation that will be today, and I will have another one tomorrow. Today I'll focus more on read aloud protocols and storytelling, and tomorrow I'll talk about music and movement in the development of um, literacy for kids and learners. So let's begin with the question, what is ORC? So ORC is basically focusing on meaning. Learning circulates or revolves around the idea that what is the importance of the lesson? What is the importance of listening to you? So meaning gives life to what we do, everything that we do. So in like manner, oracy and literacy centers on meaning because communication focuses on exchange of meaning. Therefore, it is very important for us that when we develop materials and when we develop materials and deliver materials, it centers on meaning. Why and what is that lesson for? Because in the heads and the minds of our students is, why should I listen to you? Why should I read this material? Is there something that I can get from this material? Is there something that would answer some of the questions that I have in mind? So by doing this, by doing home literacy activities, it enhances our children, our learners' capacity to think and formulate questions and eventually be able to find answers on their own, well, probably with the help of the teachers using the online materials and the modules. But what we want our students to become in the near future is to become independent learners who, if they have questions in their mind, they now have the skills to look for the answers, whether they go online, Google it, or they would look for books and look for the answers. So it goes to a higher form, listening to reading to writing, listening to speaking, reading to writing, and then eventually higher forms of skills like doing research, doing some presentations and all. So this is basically the primordial skill of all other literacies in the world. So let us begin with listening. So listening basic elements would be phonological awareness, alphabet knowledge, phonemic awareness, and vocabulary. So by making our students listen well to sounds, to the sounds of the alphabet, to the sounds of initial sounds, and even to vocabulary, we are making our students realize that certain sounds represent certain meanings, right? What's important with listening here in oracy is that when we talk to children, when we talk to our students, pace is very important, enunciation is very important, that we make ourselves understood by our students. More often than not, what we do is that we just converse and we just talk orally without trying to consider whether our students are able to keep up with us. And at the end of the lesson, our students are flabbergasted with what they heard. That I I heard a lot of information, but I did not get it. So quality is still important in that's why it's focusing more on meaning. So if we try to make our if we enunciate words properly for kids, then they will be able to transition it to speaking. Hence, mispronunciations are actually rooted from the models, from the mispronunciations of their models, not because they were born with this mispronunciation. So the errors, not necessarily mistakes though, the errors of our students, they got it from someone else, either at home, on television, and well, teachers, of course, would be some of the influence that would get the mispronunciations from. All right. And you will observe that some kids, when they're like around 4 or 5 years old, they would speak like this. The intonation is right. The words are not comprehensible. Probably parents, when they talk to their children, they use their adult speed instead of when they talk to a child, they slow down in regular, because this you want your kids to be able to hear the words. And once they hear the words, they're able to use when they speak as well. All right. So whatever they listen to is the something that they speak. Therefore, this is what we call as oral codes under oracy. Oracy is basically listening to speaking, and whatever our students speak, kung may mga bata na nagmumura, hindi sila pinalaki na nagmumura, nakuha nila yan sa mga adults. Nasa mga magulang yan. Galing sa mga magulang, sa mga tito-tita, sa, I don't know, hopefully not from the teachers, kasi bawal naman sa amin po na magmura sa school. So, lahat ng mga hindi kaaya-ayang mga ugali na dapat sinasabi natin, mga ugaling sinasabi ng mga bata, they are not born with it. They got it from adults. So very important that when we are speaking and conversing with other adults and there are children present, we have to sanitize our language, slow down our language, our speed of language and the pace, so that our kids develop oracy. Now, kids with well-developed oracy, it's easy for them to transition to reading whatever words they hear, the sounds they hear. It can be easily represented by words, print words, and printed letters. So if a student who is talkative, it will be easy for teachers and for parents to transition that in that phenomenon to reading. So kids who have good listening skills and speaking skills would easily transition to reading and writing. And whatever they read, all right, whatever they read, it will be easy for them to write. But remember, there are stages of writing. Sometimes the earliest form of writing will be scribbling. That's why parents out there, when your kid's scribbling a lot on your walls, that's on a stage. So allow it. So if you don't want your walls to be as scribbled as you want it to be, then probably you would like to stick on wallpapers that later on you can change once kids have passed on to another stage. So from scribbling to drawing to writing the letters and so on and so forth, it's the stage. So more often than not, we try to communicate to others via pictures, via drawing. So writing, when we ask our students, when they are so engrossed with what they have read, or what they watched, what they've heard from the teacher, from the parents, they would like to see the book and read it. And then eventually they like what they've read, they would write something about it, responding to it. It could be drawings, it could be, scribbles and all. So it's a good transitioning though. That's why what I'm trying to say here, oracy develops literacy. Point is, talk a lot to your kids, talk a lot to your children. That's why in distance education, it is very important for us to mix together online materials where they can listen to oral language, and then we have modules so that they can read, transitioning in. How you combine the materials, whether they read first and listen to enhancement via online materials, or the input would basically from the online going to reading. Whichever combination you come up with, you have to make sure that there's a reading, and at the same time there's a literacy, something that they read and write, and oracy, something that they listen to and then they talk about. All right. I think that one of the many challenges with the distance education is talking about what they heard over the online material, the material. That's why parents are very important to be there so that they talk among each other. If not, probably what the teachers can do is create an online social group for the kids so that they're able to talk. But remember, when they're chatting, it's more of writing. So what you can do is have like use the use of Zoom or the use of online application where they can see each other and be able to use the language orally and have verbal and nonverbal interaction. All right, so let's proceed though. So that's literacy. So what is the importance of oracy? Those are my nieces at home. All right. So those are the Vibal books that I requested for me to evaluate. So I'll be showing you some of the books later on. So as children grow up, their listening ability develops first and reading abilities acquired later. So that means what we would like to establish here is that listening capacity or listening ability is a prerequisite to reading or to reading and writing literacy. Why? Because the skills of listening comprehension is the same as reading comprehension. Whatever you comprehend through listening is also the same skills that you use when you read. What changes would be the modality. You process information via listening, while in reading you process information via print. Right? I will not go into detail with that though, but that will be another topic though. Probably we can talk about communication, basic communication at home, but not now. Let's focus more on reading aloud and storytelling. So another one that is important why we need to establish oracy towards literacy is that speaking and listening are essential skills for children's cognitive development and for making progress in their own literacy skills of reading and writing. So we want our students here via oracy that they're able to express. The emotions are very important. Why? Because when they read the punctuation marks, some of the words there pertain to certain emotions. If they recognize the emotions, they recognize meaning in oral form, then it's easy for them to recognize those emotions and those meanings in print. All right, that's why it's called transitioning. Right, it's easy to transition and not just basically teaching everything back, teaching everything from zero. Next would be, all right, it aids in making the learning process more interactive and engaging. So while they're reading and there's a conversation, it makes them socialize with others, and they are able to think and create mental images. So if they're able to create mental images and then they're able to communicate with that with the other kids at home, then that learning is taking place. But it's difficult for us to know if learning is taking place if your child can understand, and when you ask, did you understand? They will just stare at you, but will not speak. So oracy is listening and speaking because you get to know what they are thinking about, what they heard, what they process from listening by making them talk about it. So if your kids are talkative at home, encourage them even more. But if your kids are silent, probably cause parents, primary caregivers, and some other teachers penalize them for talking a lot, then that's something wrong. We need to encourage our students to say something, but of course, within the context of what we are discussing about. If what they're talking about is out of context, you can say we can talk about that later on once we're done with what we are dealing right now, or what we're done with our lesson right now. But you don't shout. Remember, go back to the topics I talked about, the positive discipline. By shouting at them, by punishing them, by doing that, they retreat inside their minds, and whatever they have understood from what they listened to, instead of asking the parents and asking the teachers, they just keep it to themselves. Why? Because they are afraid that if they ask the question, they will be tagged as, ang bobo naman, ang daming tanong, ang daldal naman, kasi ang ingay naman ng batang ko kasi madaldal. Well, when I was growing up, madaldal daw ako, matanong daw ako. Ang tawag nga sa akin ng mga teachers namin ay pilyo, makulit, madaldal. I was even given one award, the most talkative at school. When I was growing up, I thought it was negative. I thought, pag madaldal pala at matanong, negative yun. Kasi pag nagtanong, marami daw, hindi nakakaintindi. But when I became an educator, I realized, that was actually the learnability stage. Ibig sabihin, nagkakaroon yung stage niya, habang nagtatanong ako at nagdadagdal ako, naiintindihan ko yung aking mga binabasa at aking napapakinggan. All right? So this is very important for us to realize how we develop the materials and how we develop online materials and our modules. How do we make our students talk? All right? How do we make our students write when they're at home and we cannot see that they're doing that? That's why I said during the positive discipline, we need to enlist the help of the parents to ensure that literacy and literacy are being developed simultaneously, if not simultaneously, they're being developed chronologically at home. All right. Next would be, many believe it also combines learning social behaviors with education to fully develop a child for life outside the classroom, like they're able to do functional things outside. When they're going to the mall, they follow directions, they know where to go, and so on and so forth. They do not easily stray away from you because they do not understand your instructions, and so on and so forth. Kids who are well-developed ORC are able to read environmental signs, where to go, and so on and so forth. When I was growing, I'll be using my own examples because I do not see you. If this is a face-to-face interaction, I could probably ask some of my participants to give examples of how they were raised. When I was a kid, when we had an owner type Jeep at home, so we go to the market every Saturday and so on and so forth. So my mom and my dad would bring us, all the four of us, my brothers, go to the market, and we're given certain tasks, like yung dalawang kapatid ko will be with my dad, kaming isang kapatid ko naman will be with my mom. And my mom would ask, okay, what did you see? What's the color of the signage? It's red. What does it mean? And so on and so forth. So everything that we do, whether at home or whether going to the market, everything is literacy. My mom gives meaning to whatever we see, and then like in front of us would be a car and there would be a plate number. She would ask me to memorize it, and what letters are those, and what numbers are those, and what are the sounds of the letters, and give me examples of words that begin with those sounds, and so on. So to me, it was just for some people would say you're already punishing your kids at a very young age by teaching them this. No. In my perspective, even if my mom was just doing this literacy activities, in my head I was just having fun. It wasn't teaching. It wasn't formal learning. I was having fun because I was getting meaning from everything I was seeing. Because remember, our brain, if we see something, it creates an anomaly, an imbalance, and it asks questions. And the parents at home and the people at home can help us learn even more and maximize what we're thinking about via coming up with conversations like this. So that's out in our dining area. That's my niece. Just she had an assignment, and I asked her, you have an assignment, okay, so if you want to have your toys there, make sure that you finish your test. So ORC may also help in understanding different subject matters, like encouraging and simulating the thinking process. This also potentially helps in making subjects more practical instead of theoretical. Meaning, if in the process of making sure that our teachers and parents transition ORC in the subject area like math and science, they must be able to use the ORC elements. They must teach math, they must teach araling panlipunan, teach science, as if they are just ordinarily conversing with the students, all right? Not, sounding like books. That's why there is no such thing as boring subject, only a boring delivery of the subject. So, sorry, teachers. So we need to look into the possibility that kids probably hate a certain subject, not because it's difficult as a subject, but probably the way we delivered it makes our students focus more on the difficulty instead of what's to like about the lesson. All right, so those are just the basic principles. Let's now proceed on the importance of ORC to literacy. Let's now focus on read aloud and storytelling. So what is reading aloud? Basically, it's a strategy of communicating author's message, like materials that we have, to others through expressive, fluent, oral reading. So expressive, meaning it would be easy for our students to listen to us if if our kids are enticed to listen to us because our voice interests them. Our facial expression interests them to listen to us. All right. So how to do read aloud? Of course, number one, read aloud with expression. How do we do that? Read with intonation. Have pitch going up and down, stress, okay, stress and pauses, okay, are very important because if we change the intonation of a sentence or a word, nagbabago na po ang kahulugan. Good example would be object is different from object, subject from subject. So let's have an example here. It says, a woman without her man is lost. So the way I read it, with the proper intonation, a woman without her man is lost. The meaning that we get from it, the way I said it aloud, means a woman cannot live without a man, right? A woman without her man is lost. What if I change my intonation into this? A woman without her man is lost. Same words, only that I changed my intonation. This time, the meaning drastically changed from women cannot live without men, from men cannot live without women. Another example would be, there's a huge difference in intonation and in meaning if we say, let's eat, grandma, from let's eat, grandma. Yung unang intonation, tinatawag natin si grandma na kumain. Yung pangalawa, sinasabi natin na kainin na natin si grandma. Another one, example. First intonation, no more rape. Okay? Meaning, wala na, nagrarally ka na, wala na. Ayun na, dapat wala ng rape kasi that's against human rights. Paano ganito ang pagkakasabi nyo? No! More rape! Same words, nagbago intonation, nag-iba na ang meaning. Ibig sabihin, sige, ipagsiki pa ang rape. So the meaning would reside on how we deliver our materials, the sentences and words. So it would, nag-iba ang kahulugan nun. So we have to be very careful on that, on the delivery per se. Next would be punctuation marks because nagkakaroon pa ng meaning, emotional quality ang ating statements because of following punctuation marks. So there's a huge difference between I am a boy, you are a girl. Are you asking a question or stating a fact? So if you're stating a fact, alagay, no? If you're stating a fact, it would be period going down and going down. So we need to follow punctuation marks and how we go up and we go down. It's very important. So we need to practice that. Next, we have read aloud with fluency. So fluency, which is moving towards reading fluency and writing fluency, it's modeled from ORC. So we need whatever the ORC of our parents, of our teachers, would also become the ORC of our kids. That's why it's modeling is very important. Repeated reading is very important. Marking phrases is very important. Knowing where to stop, knowing where to pause, and so on and so forth. So let's have an example. Let's say this is your lesson in science, and you're delivering this via an online material. So instead of having words here, the words are being read by the teacher, and there's a picture or probably a video being shown, and the teacher is explaining the picture. Here, the picture in my slide. So say teacher A. Ganito si teacher A. Pagbasa niya sa kanyang online material at itong naririnig ng mga bata. Why is it called the solar system? There are many planetary systems like ours in this universe with planets orbiting a whole star. Our planetary system is named the solar system because our sun is named Sol after the Latin word for sun, solis, and anything related to the sun we call solar. Wow, ang ganda ng pronunciation ni teacher. Ang ganda ng mga poses. But what's lacking there is it lacks emotion. Right? Yung pag-iinganyo. Yung sinasabi natin natural communication. Read aloud, it's a natural way of, it's a strategy of sounding like you are just conversing, just naturally communicating, even if you're just reading the material. So, ganito daw ang pagkabasa dapat ng materials. Why is it called the solar system? There are many planetary systems like ours in the universe with planets orbiting a host star. Our planetary system is named the solar system because our sun is named Sol, after the Latin word for sun, solis. And anything related to the sun, we call solar. So pag ganun pagkakabasa, naiinganyo ang bata makinig. And then if that's how they heard you delivered the information, when they read it on their own in a module, that's how they're going to read it, with meaning. Yeah? Alright. So hindi lang yan. Tingnan natin naman sa Araling Panlipunan. Unahin natin ang teacher na hindi kunwari sinunod ang read aloud guidelines. Pambansang puno, Nara. Ang naga o mas kilala sa tawag na Nara, Tirocarpus indicus, na pambansang puno ng Pilipinas ay isang puno na pinahalagaan dahil sa angking nitong tibay at bigat at magandang kalidad. Hinahan dito sa mga Pilipino na tulad ng Nara, ang mga Pilipino ay sadya ring matatag. Aba, matutulog po ang bata sa inyo pag ganyan eh. So dapat ganito ang pagkakabasa na mayroong read aloud elements. Pambansang puno, Nara. Ang naga o mas kilala sa tawag na Nara o tinatawag ng mga siyentipiko na Pterocarpus indicus, na pabansang puno ng Pilipinas ay isang puno na pinahahalagahan dahil sa angking nitong tibay at bigat at magandang kalidad. Hinahalin tulad ito sa mga Pilipino na tulad ng Nara, ang mga Pilipino ay sadyaring matatag. Ang punong ito ay matatagpuan sa bawat lugar sa Pilipinas. Lugar sa bansa pala. Sa lugar sa bansa. Ipinangalan nito sa Naga, Bicol. Tinatawag din itong asana ng mga Tagalog, balauning ng mga Bangyan, daytanag ng mga Kapampangan, at udyaw ng mga Pangansinense. O, pag gano'n ang pagkakadeliver, matutuwa ang mga bata. Okay? Mainggan silang makinig, mainggan silang basahin yon later on. Right? Hindi lang yun. Tingnan po natin naman sa mathematics. Paano naman kung sa mathematics ay ganito si teacher mag-deliver, no? Getting the least common denominator. Listen carefully, okay? Imagine that you have a group of friends who are ordering from pizzas for dinner. However, each person wants a different topping. For example, if 5 people want pepperoni, you'll probably need to order more than 1 pepperoni pizza to make sure that each one has enough to eat. Aba, hindi naman. Parang nakipag-away po tayo, no? Kaya nga, most of our students have no affinity and affiliation to learning mathematics because it's delivered as if it's not interesting. Something that we are not interested to listen to. So parang nakipag-chismoso ganito. Getting the least common denominator. Imagine that you and a group of friends are ordering some pizzas for dinner. However, each person wants a different topping. For example, if 5 people want pepperoni, you'll probably need to order more than 1 pepperoni pizza to make sure that each one has enough to eat. But if only one person wants sausage, 1 pizza with that topping will probably be sufficient. The process you just went through, determining how much of an item from a group of items is needed, is similar to finding the least common denominator among a group of fractions in math. Let's see how. Diba? Pag gano'n ang pagkakadeliver, parang may pagchismo. Tignan mo naman mga Pilipino, mahilig may pagchismisan. Diba? Pagkasigising umaga, sabi niya, uy, kumari, alam niyo ba, may narinig ako. The way we deliver lessons should be like that. Nangiinggan nyo. You're enticing them to listen to you on the online material that you have, or to read the materials because that's interesting for them, right? So, ganun na. All right. So, process na. So, what is denominator? The denominator is the bottom number in a fraction. It shows how many equal parts an item is divided, and so on and so forth. So I just, prepared these slides. That's done. I retrieved it from just I'm acknowledging where I got examples. So, right, so examples doing that. My point here, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you come up with a material, online material, reading material, it is very important. It's very important for us that we approximate the read aloud because they don't want to read that if they heard it as if it was boring. So if it was boring already when they heard it and they listened to it, do you think they're gonna read it? No, I think that. Right? I think that. Halimbawa, kagaya ng letter, may binigay na letter sa'yo. Oh, basahin mo yun mamaya. Mababasa ka dyan maganda. Parang gusto mo nang buksan agad ng letter. Parang sabi yan, oh, buksan mo yan ha. Tingnan lang natin kung ano mo mabasa mo dyan. So tingin mo, basahin mo, di matatakot ka, di ba? So it's similar like that. Similar phenomenon as such when we do delivering materials using the read aloud protocols and Storytime. All right? So oral language is the medium we use to make friends, earn a living, and become participating members of community. So we want our students to be able to become independent, become confident of their oracy, so that it's easier for them to interact with other people. At the end of the day, we would like them to socialize first with others. There would be more percentage of socialization than of other activities in a day. So mas madi-develop agad ang oracy daw araw-araw kung gano'n ang ginagawa natin. And then eventually it will lead to literacy development of our children and our students. Okay? So ito po mga support systems when we do home literacy activities. So teacher talk is very important. Therefore, remember teachers out there, when you do online materials, wag naman para kayong tuod lang na ang pag-uusapan po natin ngayon ay tungkol. No, dapat high patient today. Ang pag-uusapan po natin sa araw na ito ngayon ay tungkol sa. So kahit wala kang nakikita na tao sa harapan mo, parang nakikipag-usap ka lang. Alright? That's the read aloud protocol. So teacher talk must approximate the ORC. Alright? Next, parent talk too. Alright? Pag kinausap ko kunwari during dinner time or lunch time, o anak, anong nangyari? O, sumukikintong bata. O, tapos ano nangyari? Hindi yung, tapos ganito, kahit hindi mo na-intindihan, sabi na, talaga, gano'n. Sige, kwento ka pa, ano pa nangyari? At hindi mo na-intindihan, but the way you say, sige, kaya mo pa yan, encourages your kids to talk more. So parent talk is very important. Respond back to your kids as if you're interested, right? Language scaffold is also very important, like repeating the words. Huwag naman masyadong really structured. Like, minsan nagkakamali ang bata's pronunciation. Huwag mo nang sabihin na, mali yan, ulitin mo. No, so repeat mo na lang. You mean Google. Kung lang Google, so you, you Google it. So instead of, formally correcting your kids, try to, by repeating and modeling the correct use of the language, is more appropriate than, formally correcting your children or your students. Language experience approach, meaning whatever you're using, you're teaching them, there's an activity before that they're able to experience it. Like you're teaching them how to use verbs, let them, move first, and then the words that they do, like walking and talking and jumping and wiggling, are in the songs, and they're able to, do it, and they're able to experience it, and they talk about what they have done, and that's the language experience approach. Although there are many things that we can do with language experience approach, but that would be a totally different topic already. And another one is dialogic reading, meaning it starts with the parents or the teachers reading it aloud to their kids, and eventually the kids are the ones reading to the parents. Sila na nagkukwento, okay? Kagaya namin doon, pag-brand out sa bahay sa lugar namin, ang mga lolo't lolo namin nagbibigay na ng mga kwento ng unang panahon, bakit nagkakaroon ng lunar eclipse, and so on and so forth. Then eventually, as I became a teenager, at may mga pamangkin ako na mga mas bata sa amin, nasa Paloo yun, pumunta ako doon, tapos before they go to sleep, nagagawa ko na ako na nagkikwento ng paano ako kinentuhan ng mga lolo't lola namin. So I became, I was able to approximate how my grandparents told stories to us, and then sa mga pamangkin namin at saka sa mga bata, nagagawa din namin. So again, it's a cycle. It's a positive cycle though. Storytelling that we all discussed later on, that social dramatic play is very important. Allow them to play, all right? Allow them to play. Melodies and rhythm experience, which I'll talk tomorrow, is important. Retelling, making students tell to you what they have read or listened to, is very important too. And then systematic explicit vocabulary instruction. So some of the words that you would like to teach are already in the stories. Mas maganda po yun, inilisip na lang siya doon sa mga words. So like, what do you mean by that? So what does that word in this material mean? So mas maganda po kasi yung materials na dinevelop natin, especially for the modules, meron din mga side notes kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng mga words. Or mas maganda po meron na kayong jargon before the material so that you do not assume that students will understand some of the words that were used differently in the material, or you use new words. Okay, kasi sometimes kids and students have difficulty understanding the lesson because they are struggling with certain new words or words that are being used differently in context, right? So these are the elements that we need to be reminded of when we do read aloud elements in storytelling. So we have the verbal elements, we have the volume, loudness or softness. So huwag kang matakot sumigaw. Kung kailangan mong sumigaw, di sumigaw ka. Alright? Kung kailangan mag-whisper, di mag-whisper ka. Alright? The next, melody and pitch, highness or lowness. Ang pagtaas, kapag baba. Pag nagtatanong ka, dapat mataas ang tono. Pag sumasagot ka sa tanong, hindi mababa dapat ang tanong. Oh, what happened? Oh, I went out. So, meron siyang nag-iiba. Nalaman ng bata, anong tanong siya kasi nag-iba ang pitch. Also, when you're telling stories, mas mataas ang pitch ng babae sa pitch ng lalaki. So, kids are able to distinguish when they listen to, oh, that's a woman. Oh, that's a boy. Oh, that's a monkey. That's a turtle, right? Because we changed our pitch in different elements in the story or prose, kids are able to understand it because of the changes, all right? Pace, speed is very important. So normally we have to give the normal pace for our children at a certain age group. And it's very important for us also to mimic the pace in terms of emotion. When you're excited, you get, di ba? Pag ma-excited ka, dapat mabilis, bumibilis. Yung sabi mo, yes, weekend na! Di ba? Kasi excited ka. Ang pag sinabi mo, yes, weekend na! Excited ako! Parang hindi yata excited kasi yung pace mo hindi na ma-match sa emotion. So we would like to match our verbal elements to the emotion we would like our students and the idea, of course, that we want our learners to get. Next is the tone and emotional quality. When you say happy, therefore dapat happy din ang ating mukha at ang ating boses. All right? And finally, we have enunciation. We need to enunciate all the words, especially in online materials and in modules. So modules kasi nandun ang mga magulang. So mga magulang, kung tutulong po kayo sa pagbabasa ng mga modules, huwag basahin ng bilis. Dapat tama lang yung speed, tapos well enunciated. So students are able to approximate the way used to enunciate the words. So these are the nonverbal elements. We have gesture. Gusto-gusto ng mga bata nakakita ng gestures, meaningful hand. Bakit kasi na puro lang ulo lang gumagano'n. So meron din mga kamay na gumagalaw. I don't know why, but when I do deliver talk, my hands also talk to me. Talk like myself. Next would be posture and position of the body. So I'm still struggling where to look at, where to stare. Sometimes I stay here, stare there. So it's still a struggle for him, but in face-to-face, it's easy to do. But it's very important for us that positioning the body center is important. All right, eye contact. You know what I'm saying? Eye contact is important, but so that kids feel like you're looking at them. And finally, proximity. But I think that's not important. It's not a problem for us right now because it's distance education. But in reality, distance po natin sa proximity ng mga bata ay 1 hour po. All right. So let's have a practice on the voices. So like our high voices for reading or saying lines that suggest fun, happiness, brightness, for asking questions unless a male asks questions. All right. Dark or low voices for saying lines that suggest mystery, terror, sadness, solemnity. For answering questions unless a female answers the question. And finally, we have medium voices. All right, the medium voices for blending in all voices, for relating the narrative, for introducing the characters, and for giving explanation. Okay, let's have an example. This is a story that I wrote. By the way, I have here an example from Vival. It's from their Chikiting books. Ito gagamitin ko mamaya sa Filipino, ang pinakamagarang sapatos. So this one is I wrote a story during the wala akong magawa sa buhay. So I wrote stories. So the story is entitled The Bumblebee Who Lost His Way Home. There was once a farm full of different, wait, I cannot see. Sorry. full of different animals. Animals that crawl, fly, and graze. Animals with different sizes, big, small, and some just about right. Animals who help each other despite their differences. Now, at the middle of this farm stood a tree so big and so tall that all animals could see it. In one of the many branches of this tree lived a hive of bumblebees. One of these bumblebees was Bobby, the youngest of all bumblebees. Bobby the bumblebee, as he's fondly called, is a very curious bee. Oh, what beautiful flowers there are in the field. Can I go there, mother? Bobby asked his mother. No, 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 Bobby. You must not go there. His mother would answer. Why not, mother? Bobby asked sadly. Well, not now that you are still young, but soon when you get older. Mother answered and patted Bobby. Kasi ayaw kong tapusin po, pero dapat ganun daw. Nire-relish natin. What's good thing about this for teachers is that you can, when you deliver your online materials, you can still practice before you record, or you record it first and then you listen to it first. Does it sound interesting to you? Because it does not sound interesting to you. Does it make sense to you? Are the words slurred? So you can always redo the recording instead of, okay na to, okay na to. No, what we want here is that the materials are comprehensible to our learners. All right? Let's some examples sa Filipino. Okay, hindi ko na i-encode po, babasa po ako dito ha. Ang pinakamagarang sapatos na kwento at sinulat ni Danilo Niño Calalang, iginuhit ni Paul David Arcas. Si Jason talaga, no? Si Jason na yata ang pinakamagarang sapatos sa kanilang paaralan. Maraming palamuti at sari-saring kulay ang sintas. Manghang-mangha ang kanyang mga kamag-aral. Jason, ang gala naman ng sapatos mo! Una ni Mario. Salamat! Ang tanging na itugon ni Jason. Kabaligtaran nito ng sapatos ni Jeboy. Bukod sa pudpud na ang swelas nito, nakabuka na rin ang uso at pigtas na ang sintas. Jeboy, nagugutom na yata yung sapatos mo! Tukso ni Mario. Kapag ganito, ay tahimik na lang naalis si Jeboy. Diba? Pag ganyan ang pagka-deliver mo, parang kuhang-kuha ng mga bata ang kahulugan ng sinasabi mo. Kasi pag hindi mo binigyan ng tamang kahulugan, tamang emosyon, ang iyong binabasa o binibigay sa bata, nagkaroon pa ng listening comprehension back down. And of course, if there's listening comprehension back down and there's a supplementary reading material for them, mas lalo po silang maguguluhan. Right? Remember, it's very important us to deliver the lesson that is interesting to our kids. Hindi ko na po tutuloy tapusin, but I think you got my point there. Right? Very simple. Next. So, what is now the difference between read aloud and storytelling? Kanina nakita mo binabasa ko at nasusundan ng mga bata ang larawan, nasusundan ng mga bata ang salita kahit paano, or nakikita nila na si teacher may hawak na libro, and so on and so forth, especially for online materials, nakikita nila. Pero sa storytelling kasi wala kang ginagamit kung hindi ang boses mo lamang. Pwede ka magpakita ng pictures, pero yung mga salita hindi mo pinapakita. Right? This is not the same as read aloud or dramatic reading. So ang storytelling would be stories or narratives that have been shared in every day as means of every culture, as a means of entertainment, education, cultural preservation, and instilling moral values. So, gusto ng mga bata na nakikinig ng kwento, kahit na tayo matatanda na, we like watching television, watching soap opera, because that's how it is. The entertainment of it, but at the same time, we get to learn from being entertained. This is the reason why storytelling is considered one of the oldest forms of literature, because it conveys crucial elements of stories, which include plot, characters, and narrative point of view. One way or the other, ang mga bata natututo po silang makinig sa sa parts ng story, yung story grammar, yung plot mismo. So, dahil sila ay naiinganyo, sila ay nakasunod sa mga impormasyong binibigay mo. Alright? Next, storytelling is the communicating of events through the use of one's own words. One's own words. Sounds and the use of images, often by improvisation or embellishment. Pwede kang magdagdag, kung sa tingin mo yun ang importanteng marinig ng mga bata, pwede mong i-exaggerate kung sa tingin mo yun ang focus ng lesson mo for that day. Next, this is considered an art of expressing and improvising, which revolves around a plot or narrative point of view. Alright? Yung read aloud kasi, pwede mong gamitin elements niya sa lahat ng mga impormasyon, be it science, mathematics, and so on and so forth. Storytelling centers mostly on narratives. Alright? Importante siya, especially kunwari meron kang motivation, tapos kwento kang paparinig mo. So all teachers would have motivation. Like what I did with mathematics. Before I started, I have a storytelling about, friends wanting to order pizza and they want different flavors for the pizza. So dapat para ka lang magipagkwentuhan, storytelling. But you don't have to show pictures there. Although, pwede magdagdag ng pictures to augment your storytelling, but it should not be mostly, students would rely on the pictures. So the importance of storytelling would be storytelling as a means of sharing, interpreting experiences. Okay, it allows our students to learn that we can express our thoughts, and also helps our students to tell stories of what they experience in learning to their parents. All right. So storytelling can be used as a method to teach ethics, values, and cultural norms and differences. Naalala ko yung panahon namin, like nung nakikinig kami sa gabi ng lagi, pagkatapos ng araw namin, may simata, and so on and so forth. So I think my generation were good listeners, and there were few people who had problems with reading, who had problems with mathematics and other subject areas, because our technology then, our platforms were mostly on listening, radios. There were few television shows for us to view. So we relied so much on listening. So tama pala yun. Kasi nga sabi nga nila, oracy develops literacy. So kung ang bata magaling makinig, ang bata magaling magdaldal, magsalita, it precipitates towards transitioning all these skills in oracy to reading and writing. So one of the many strategies that we can impose on is storytelling. So remember, pwede din si teacher nag-storytell, si parents nag-storytell, pero mas importante, ang bata din mag-storytell. Right? Storytelling functions as a tool to pass on knowledge in a social context. All right? So maganda kasi pag-cultural talaga siya eh. Storytelling can be seen as a foundation for learning and teaching. Kung sana lang daw kung ako nung susunod, kung sana lang ang pagtuturo sa loob ng classroom ay parang nagkikwentuhan lang si teacher, the better. Because it becomes, for the students listening to nagkikwento si teacher sa itinuturo, para lang nagipag-usap si teacher. Hindi yung parang isinasampal ng teacher o ng parents ang informasyon. I-memorize niyo yan. Hindi. Dapat makinig tayo, ha? Kasi importante malaman natin kung bakit maraming babae si Rizal. Diba? Sabi, importante nga malaman ng mga babae ni Rizal. Tapos pagdating sa test, ano ang pangalan ng aso ni? Layo naman. Okay, step in storytelling. Select a story to tell. So, if you're not yet comfortable as a parent or as a teacher, you're not yet comfortable, telling the story as if using your own words, you can write it down first, and then once you've written it down, one way or the other, you commit that to memory. And from that point on, you can now just, tell it. Yan po ang ginagamit natin dapat sa online materials. Okay? Prepare to tell the story by reading it and understanding it using the story elements. Ibig sabihin, pag nagkwento po tayo, bago kayo mag-record ng materials, practice muna tayo kung may time, ha? So yeah, practice the story aloud to yourself. Announce your story informally. Sa education po tawag natin, you have guide questions perhaps, initial questions before we start the story, but it does not necessarily mean that you're going to use these questions as quiz or recitation later on. What you want for these guide questions is to guide the comprehension of the story that they're listening to or they will be listening to. Pace your telling skillfully. Changing tempo was needed and using pause effectively. Yung sinasabi natin kanina, dahan-dahan, i-pace po natin yan, and then have pauses para dramatic po ang dating. And finally, do not give any check-up questions or tests later on. Kung, especially for stories, ang gamit po natin ay mayroong pang dagdag na informasyon na babasahin ng mga bata. Alright? Mas maganda siyang connected. Mayroon silang pinakinggan and then anong sunod na gagawin. Alright? Now, what are the items or instructional materials of storytelling? Of course, the big books, story frames, pictures, of course, puppets and marionettes, silhouettes and shadows. Nung alala ko nung lumalaki kami, pag ang meron kaming Friday night session kami noon, meron kaming pinsan, si Kuya Edwin. Ang ginagawa ng mami ko, at Kuya Edwin, tsaka Ate Hilda, tsaka Ate Jonah, mag-cut out sila, tapos sa aming dining table, maglalagay sila ng white cloth, tapos mag-show sila, parang sine no, nung panahon namin. That's we call it silhouettes and shadows. Kids would love that too. All right. Flannel graph, of course, I think you have the cloth, and then you put on pictures and words na sinasabi mo. And of course, drawing is very important. So let's practice po. Kunwari magkikwento ako. Kwento lang para makita niyo kung paano ginagawa. I was once invited by Bibal to give a talk in Palawan. It was way back, I think, 1995. Sorry, 1995 talaga. Sorry, 2005. No, 2015. Sorry, 2015. So the story really started when I was already sitting in the plane, sa loob eh. In the plane, then I was seated by the window, and then the seat in the middle was vacant, and on the aisle was a Japanese passenger. Because I was tired. The day before that, I came from another Bibal training from Batangas. So, and the next day, that day, I was flying to Palawan. So I was really exhausted, and my being sociable and being talkative that day was out of the picture. So I just wanted to doze off and sleep. So as I was about to doze off, I think the Japanese wanted to strike a conversation and was trying to be friendly with me. He said, speak English? Do you speak in Japanese, in a Japanese language? And alam mo namang amoy na the smell of the Japanese, especially when they ate a lot of raw fish, assailed my nose. And then I answered, no English, no English, no English. So that was the end of the conversation then. So finally I was able to sleep. And then when we were already flying in the air, and then eventually the stewardess would have to go around asking for drinks. So I had to wake up because the lights were turned on. And those stewardess pushed us. Of course, she asked the Japanese first. Said, water or coffee? And then the Japanese, in a thick Japanese accent, said, coffee, all right? And then eventually the stewardess turned to me and asked me, sir, water or coffee? And then I answered, water, please. The accent, water, please. Forgetting that I was supposed to not speak good English because I already told the Japanese that I cannot speak English. Then immediately I turned to the Japanese guy and looked at him, and I was so ashamed because he just realized that I was faking it. I was so ashamed. I sulked in the corner of my seat, and then waited for everyone, especially the Japanese, to get out of the plane before I got out, because I was so ashamed of what I did. And I'm never going to fake that. If I just want to talk, I don't want to other people, I don't have to lie to them and to say, yes, I do speak English, but at the moment I would like to sleep. So there are ways to nice. Well, I just told you a story of what happened. So storytelling is, having conversation. So it does not necessarily mean that you're so conscious about what you say. Sometimes you can hear me using some Filipino words, so it's okay. You go back to the language desired for the subject area. Kung Filipino naman po yan, hindi mo Filipino po tayo. But make sure that what's important is that the kids get the meaning, all right? Get the meaning of the lesson or the story you are telling them. Such parameters, like conversation, yun lang naman gusto mong matutunan nyo sa session ko ngayon. Para ka lang nangipag-usap. Pag estudyante, para ka lang nangipag-usap. Guys, today we're going to learn about how to do multiplication, right? So when we do multiplication, there are several steps. Parang kinakausap lang ang bata. I think one of the many obstacles of the relationship between students and teachers and parents and students is that the adults, the parents, and the teachers somehow fail to approximate the conversational type of, of communication to kids. And that's the beginning of failure of learning, of the teaching and the learning. You just want to make your children, your learners, to feel like they're just listening to you, they're just conversing with you, and not being bombarded with a lot of information for them to just store in their head. All right, so as much as I would like to um, go beyond some of the topics that I prepared, I'll be having other sessions tomorrow, but that would be more of uh, music and movement. So at this point, for home literacy on storytelling and read aloud protocol, I will now be entertaining questions. So moderator Michelle, do we have questions? I'm not able to see some questions though.
Yes, po, sir, we have question po. Ayan. Question number one from Miss Sheila Hernandez. How will this be applicable po in the new normal classroom setup where classes will be conducted online?
Yes, exactly. The example that been giving you, that when you like this, when you record, kaya nga, importante na mag-practice muna kayo. The information that you're going to deliver, especially for online, alam ko may voice over. Dapat nga pag gumawa kayo ng materials at wala si teacher doon, may voice over pa rin si teacher. Yung boses niya dapat nag-ipag-usap pa rin. Halimbawa, our lesson today focuses on the following learning competencies. Competency number one, okay? And at the end of the lesson, you will be tested using a performance test. Happy learning. Parang ganon. So when we come up with online material, the protocols of read aloud is the idea of conversation. Nakikipag-usap ka lang. So when you develop your online materials, especially if there's a voiceover or embedded, if the teacher is there, it is very important, like nakikipag-usap ka lang. Nandyan lang si estudyante sa harapan mo. And then please do remind the parents that if they're going to read the module or ipapabasa sa mga module na yan sa mga bata doon sa bahay, dapat nila na parang nagipag-usap lang sila. Sabihin mo na, bless my soul and all that is within me. Dapat merong emosyon. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless His holy name. May emosyon. All right? I think that would be my answer to that question, Mitch.
Okay po. Thank you po, sir. Two question from Miss Coron Esteban. I think this is getting the oracy po, sir. No? True na magiging iba definition when we read text. What if may accent ng mother tongue?
You mean accent ba yung mother tongue? Yung kanyang Tagalog.
Yes po.
Well, yun po ang makukuha ng bata. But then again, remember, kung ang mga naman exposed din sa teachers, sabi natin, punto yata sinabi ni Mama, no? May punto na from a province where the parents, halimbawa, together we are going to learn about, anak, you read this. I think that would be an obstacle also in the quality of learning of students. So that's why it's a huge, thanks for that comment. It's a huge trouble now for parents at home. It would be nice, yung sinasabi ko nga last time, tingin nyo may problema ang mga magulang, or you think these are some of the misgivings and some of the concerns of the parents that they will not be able to deliver. I think the teacher sana ng audio, like the module, then if the task the parents are supposed to read aloud to the kids, alam mong mayroong interference of the parents' accent to what we want them to acquire, then probably what you do is an additional video. Kung sabi ko na, mag-on kayo, tapos yung i-play na mga if you want a continuity of the consistency of such use of the language, the English language or Filipino language. Hindi lang English lang sa may punto mga ibang some parents na coming from different provinces, also when they speak in Tagalog too or Filipino, kakaroon ng accent. So my suggestion there is that ask your if they have that problem. I think probably most teachers have already encountered with the parents, and one way or the other, they already have, in their fingers, parents as well. It's a problem. It's how they were taught to when we were kids. So it's become school to the parents, the families of your students, and I think a recorded audio would still help such. I don't let us such phenomenon as such deviant accent in a language. All right.
Sir, third question from Miss Marisa. How kasama is house in case they have regional tech that possibly affect the children?
Now, mga kasambahay, di ba? Is that right, Mitch? Yung kasambahay?
Yes po, sir.
I already dealt with that since last time around, and more often than not, the mispronunciations, the deviant language behaviors of our students, our children, would come from models and adults. If you have kasambahay sa bahay, and of the high percentage of time action would come from the kasambahay, then it would be a huge tool for parents, teachers, and for the kids. Of course, kids wouldn't know if it's right or wrong. Kasi doon ay kakausapin mo ang yaya. Yaya, kasi ganito dapat ang ito itinuturo. So you have to make sure that your kasambahay and the parents and the teachers are one with what you want your kids to acquire and to achieve. If not po, at ang gusto lang mangyari, iniwan nyo lang ang mga yaya nyo at ang kasambahay nyo na ganun lang, hindi nyo orient, may problema tayo. So therefore, grow up and learn the things that you wanted. There will be no people that would interfere with what you want them to learn. And the process, especially in home learning, that's very important for you to talk heart to heart sa kasambahay at kasambahay din po at meron tutor din sa something na rin yung sa school guide that they supplement for the so yung kasama na habang hintay sila sa maybe 30 minutes. I'm not gonna mention the school, naalala ko sa Tagaytay. They have 10 minutes run by sisters though. There's this 30 minutes that they give English language proficiency, simple English proficiency training for the na pala yung kasama naman. That could be on. Pwede po ng school din ay mag-develop din sila ng probably a real oral language or basic oral language tutor for the bahay to help parents para sinabi nga consistent ang naibibigay sa mga bata. Alright, yun nga lang, additional work sa school, additional work sa parents. But remember, anything that we just forgo, as in, bahala na lang, yun ang makukuha ng mga bata. And then eventually, you cannot blame the yaya. Bahay. You are part of the problem because you knew that it exists, and yet we did not do something. And in my expert opinion, that's how you can do. Talk to the school, acknowledge to have people at home that they accent or different language use and could interfere with the learning of the child, and help enlist what the school can help. My suggestion is an additional audio material for them. Kung ayaw mo naman sa school bigay, a lot of audio materials load or purchase online, and then let the yaya follow through using the audio or the earpiece, the earpiece. And then during their sweet time perhaps or rest time, they can do that. You need to educate your kasambahay too, if that's the case. If not, limit the interaction, limit ang responsibilities ng mga kasambahay, hire a tutor. Which one way or the other, whichever decision you come up with, it will entail a task, entail potential financial burden. That's how it is, I guess. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, next question po. From CJ Aquino po. Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Is it a sin to read a story to children even without reading it first by yourself? I mean, teacher can tell a story without reading it first.
Yeah, it's a cardinal sin. Even expert storytellers, like a good friend of mine from Singapore, who's well known as the United Nations, the best storyteller, Sheila Louise. You may want to look at her website and her Facebook. Sheila Louise is a very good storyteller. I'm not gonna say I'm at par with her. I'm still developing my storytelling skills. The point here is that even expert storytellers would practice. I did. I practiced Saturday night. I practiced Sunday yesterday, and I practiced this morning, so that I will be able to read and deliver the emotions and the meaning that I think is embedded in the materials that I was reading. Importante po. So it is a cardinal sin for teachers to just read it, for parents to just read it without practicing it. So importante bago mo basahin yan para sa mga bata or i-record yan para sa mga bata. Practice. Nakalagay po yung kanina sa aking slides na practice first before you deliver it. Thanks, Mitch.
Okay po. Sir, next question po. Pagsamahin ko na lang po yung kay Miss Irene and Sir Benjamin Lau. Sir, how will we apply this in modular class?
Yun ang sinasabi ko nga po kanina. On online kasi, let me begin with online materials. You can practice it like sinasabi ko, may audio, embedded voice, or voice over, may mga words or mga graphics yan, may mga voice pa rin. Or kung ito po ay PowerPoint presentation na naka-timed na, meron pa rin embedded voice over ang mga online materials. So dapat ganun din ang pagkagamit, parang conversational lang din. Pero in the modules, especially if it's modular, my element there is that if, kagaya ng, let me connect that to the question about the regional accents interfering with the accent you want your kids to acquire, importante po na mag-audio ka. I-audio mo siya talaga. Especially for materials that have words that are difficult to pronounce, especially for sciences, a lot of vocabulary in science that's difficult to pronounce, like pterodactyl, baka pterodactyl. So it would be nice if there's an audio material for parents to use. If not something that is that's coupled with the module, perhaps you have a part of your a website, perhaps that a website or a Facebook homepage where you can interact with parents and you can give them in advance ways to read what's in the module. Otherwise, if you don't have these elements and just assume that the parents can know these words, can deliver the reading, especially for the lower grades, then there's a possibility of failure. So importante din meron kayong support. Kaya nga, itong sinasabi ko sa pandemic, itong materialis po natin na ginagamit, especially for modules, baka ang iniisip ko lang, for students use. May dapat guide kayo for parents use. Okay? Kasi bakit? Wala po kayo dun eh. Hindi kayo magbibigay ng feedback, hindi kayo yung learning support ng mga bata sa bahay, especially kung modular yun. Ang mga magulang. Yung problema ko yung mga magulang tatrabaho din. Ano magagawa kayo? Sabi ko may audio. Sir, wala naman po kasi silang audio. Well, meron pong ginawa dati in Cagayan de Oro for the SNPs. SNP is School Neighborhood Play. I don't know if kung natuloy po sila, but a year ago, I was invited to Cagayan de Oro. Ang ginawa po ng governor at saka ng mayor at saka ng congressman, isang pamilya po kasi sila relatives po sila, is that kung ano ang mga stories at saka yung mga stories, song na kinumpose po ng mga teachers doon for Cagayan de Oro, i-air out sa a particular hour sa radio. So, inilist nila ang tulong ng radio station, local radio station. But then again, ang problema, ang kagandahan doon is that nagkaroon po ng synergy ang school at ang local government. Ito yung sinasabi ko last time on curriculum planning. In this time na pandemic po talaga, hindi kakayanin ng school lang. Okay? Bakit po? You are giving responsibilities to people at home who have not been educated to be educators. You cannot assume that they already know what you know. So dapat hindi lang po ang modules ay hindi lang po mayroong ay para lang sa bata. Mayroon ka din para sa mga magulang. And if ang mga magulang ay wala talaga silang panahon, then for the yayas and kasambahay. So kung wala po rin din time, sinasabi ko pa, katulong po natin ang mga radio stations. Katulong po sana din natin ang mga, I don't want to say anything about ABS-CBN issue though, but sana yung mga television din ay tumulong din ngayon na magkaroon po sila ng time na kung ano ang mga common lessons sa science, common lessons sa mathematics, na nag-air out din po din sila. Radios would do that. Ako, hindi kakayanin po talaga. Yun po ang kinakatakutan ko ngayon. That's why I'm giving a lot of these strategies, not just for teachers kasi ito these are for parents as well. Kasi dual, ang mangyayari po ay systemic na ngayon ng education ng bata. Hindi lang sa school. At least kung sa school kasi magagawa ng paraan natin. Limited na ngayon ang time ng interaction ng mga bata sa kanilang mga yaya at sa mga parents. There would be more time now at school. At din nagagawa ng paraan ng mga teachers kung mayroong mga deviant behaviors and deviant learning. Pero ngayon din sa bahay, you have to enlist the help of the parents and all the caregivers, primary caregivers at home, and you have to orient them. Not just orienting them on what will happen, but how to support the learning of the materials via the modules and via the online. And it's a huge challenge. I assure you, it will be a different material for the parents and a different material for kids. I don't know how to make it easy and sound light, but that's if you want your program at school to succeed, that's how you're gonna do it. Materials for parents and for primary caregivers. That's how I'm gonna answer. Just being honest.
Thank you po, sir. Next po, from Miss Claire Santoyo. Good PM po. How old are children expected to speak? When should parents feel alarmed about their child's speaking ability?
Okay. The development of the oral language of the kids would be different from one child to another. Well, of course, you have genetic factors to consider, nutrition factors to consider. We also have the social interaction factors to consider. So the language development of the child becomes really fast when all the factors become united. A good example would be the parents control what their kids watch. If they choose, a mother tongue, if they say English, they control what the kids watch over the television. That's English. The language that they use at home, the materials they use at home, the toys are controlled. Just there is, that kind of perspective and focus of learning and conversation. Parents and the yayas and the kasambahay talk to the child in that language. I have a lot. I had godchildren whose parents, consulted me and what to do, and 2 years old, 3 years old readers na po sila, and they can speak good English. I did a study on that too. I presented De La Salle University, and they were so flabbergasted of such efforts of parents. And I said, yun kasi kung gusto ng mga magulang talaga. So, depende. Hindi po natin pwedeng sabihin ang anak ninyo po ay may problema sa oral language dahil nga delay. I would say if they're already in the primary grades, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, at hindi pa rin po nakakapagsalita, then there's something wrong that you need to bring your child to a speech pathologist. All right? Now, probably if not a speech pathologist, at least a developmental psychologist or a developmental pediatrician to help you with diagnosis. Pero kung ito pa ay nasa 1 to 2, 3 to 4 years old, developing stage pa yan, but be consistent lang po talaga. Minsan kasi hindi kinakausap ng mga magulang, puro lang television. So ang nangyayari sa mga bata, iba ang pinapanood na language sa television, iba naman ang ginagamit ng mga magulang, iba naman ang ginagamit na language ng yaya. Kaya ang bata, pag nagsalita, parang Chinese, nagpagkahalo-halo niya yung 3 languages na na-expose siya doon. Although pwede naman po expose ang bata sa 3 languages at the same time, but there must be consistency. Consistent lang sila, kagaya ng mga pamangkin ko po dito sa Cavite, when they speak to me, it's in English. When they speak to their mother and father, in Tagalog po, in Filipino. So consistent po. So mga bata, lumaki na marunong Tagalog at saka mag-English, but it's mere of consistent association. Kaya nga sabi ng mga pamangkin ko, do not speak to uncle in Tagalog because he doesn't understand Tagalog, only speaks English. Because all of a sudden, when they're now older, they're uncle, you speak Tagalog. Now, you speak Tagalog only to me, and then you speak another language to another one. So I will not respond back to you to use another language. So consistency is very important. Okay? So that's how I'm going to answer the question. Thanks, Mitch.
Okay po. Sir, next po. Pagsamahin ko rin po uli yung question ni Miss Apple Jean Sagandina at ni Miss Corita Tudlong since connected po. No? Good afternoon po, sir. May tanong po ako sana at sana po yung masagot. My son is 5 years old and bulol po siya. Ano po ang magandang activity para sa kanya para ma-develop yung speaking skills niya?
Ang pag normal kasi na may bulol-bulol ang mga bata, there are certain sounds and certain words that they cannot get pronounced. What language is that? Filipino or English? Kung medyo man. So magkaiba po, there are some certain sounds, certain words that cannot be pronounced at a certain age. Difficult that cannot. Difficult to pronounce at a certain age using English and Filipino. So what you can do is don't formally penalize and formally, punish the child. So kung bulol-bulol pa rin siya, kausapin pa rin ng dire-diretso. Halimbawa, sabi naman, kaya tabil po niya yung mama ng katilabalo na tumulo. Mga ganon. Si nanay sabi niya, sabi ni nanay na ganyan. So, kung klaruhin mo sinasabi mo. No. Intindihin mo ang sinasabi ng anak mo. And then pag naintindihan mo, repeat it as if ikaw ang nagmo-model sa dapat niyong sabihin. Huwag mong sabihin, ulitin mo. Kaya si mama, wag ganon. I-model mo lang siya. Eventually, the child will get it. But then remember, hindi lang ikaw dapat na nagaganyan. All the members of your family at home should do that too. Baka naman kasi bulol ng anak nyo, pag kinausap nyo pang anak nyo, parang bulol na rin, ginagaya rin nyo. No. There's a huge difference between approximating the language of your child from, mimicking the language of your child. So do not baby talk. Kasi malalaman ng mga bata, yung palang ginagawa, dapat ito yung kung anong pag sinabi. Sabi ng nanay, sabi ng bata, mama, gusto ko po ng tulon, Tapos sabi ng nanay, gusto po ng tulon, kain tayo ng tulon. O di, sa utak ng bata, yun, tama na palang ginagawa ko, hindi ko na kailangan mag-improve. Alright? So that's how we do it. Still in the perspective of read aloud and storytelling. So approximate the language, but the pace still should bababagal lang siya ng konti, pero hindi nyo i-compromise enunciation. Do not directly correct the child, indirectly and implicitly correct the child by restating what he said as a model. Right? And then, consistency po. There's a possibility ng kanyang kanyang phenomenon sa kanyang oral language is that baka iba rin po ang kanyang pinapanood na language pag nanonood siya. Iba rin pag siya ay kinakausap ng ibang tao. Again, ikukunik ko yun sa sagot ko kanang una, consistency of exposure to the language is very important.
Okay po, sir. Last question po from Miss Jubilu, Miss Jubilu Maximum. Good afternoon, sir. Assign po sa bundok area, paano po namin ma-apply kung ang area ay walang gadget, walang kuryente?
Patay ka. O nga naman, Pag ito ay nasa bundok at wala naman, yun ang sinasabi ko po, kung wala namang COVID cases naman sa mga bundok na yan, at pwede naman po talagang puntahan ng teacher, pwede namang i-schedule ng gano'n kasi importante talaga may oral input. Sorry for the eye. It's difficult for kids to independently read the modules without, an oral input. Especially at the young age, it's very important. So kung sa mga kabundukan po, at wala naman po mga COVID cases, I know I'm going against the protocol of Department of Education. Pero kung wala naman talagang gadgets like walang audio, walang radio, walang television, walang internet, there is no other choice but for at saka ang mga magulang hindi rin educated. Sila rin ang balakid sa pagkatuto ng mga bata. There's no other way but for the local government to help the teachers deliver the materials. Pwedeng maggawa ng mag-makeshift classroom, tapos si teacher mayroong distansya sa mga estudyante, something like that. I'm sorry, but tama po yan, realidad nga po yan. I think that's one of the situations na hindi consider po ng some of my colleagues in the Department of Education. Paano nga naman gagawin natin yan? Sabihin na natin module yan. Kahit modular yan, kailangan meron pa rin oral input, especially for the early grades. Sa high school nga, nagpo-problema pa. Kaya nangumroblema pa na nagbabasa sila. Mayroong reading problems. Tapos wala pang oral input na. Ang laki ng problema po talaga. That's how I'm gonna see it. There must be a face-to-face interaction for places like that. And if I think if it's a zero COVID case naman sana at hindi naman ikaw yung positive at ikaw magdadala, syempre gagawa ng paraan na i-check ka muna. I think pwede po makipag-coordinate po ang division office with the DSWD. The DSWD has what we call as the ECCD Council. I mentioned this already, and they have meron pong mga sinasabi po tayong mga daycare centers, even in the higher, sa mga bundok-bundok na yan. And then one way or the other, nagkaroon po na ng mga trainings ang mga volunteers. Marami sinasabi po ng mga parent volunteers at marami po sinasabi din tayo po ng mga Child Development Center volunteers and workers and teachers. So pwede po tayo makipagtulungan sa kanila via the daycare workers po. If only sana po ang division office have predetermined that such students, a number of students live in places like this, that it's difficult for technology, it's difficult for students to do distance education because technology is not there to support it, like the Wi-Fi connection, the internet connection. They don't have radios, they don't have televisions, they don't have, kahit siguro ilaw, wala yatang ilaw, kandila lang meron. So ang module po will not suffice. Di kakayanin po. So there must be still an oral support to it. Yun po, synergy of efforts. Kaya lang for a teacher na ikaw po ang nag-iisip niyan, hindi ka nga po makakagawa ng solusyon kasi it has to be division office to the local government. Ang inyong superintendent po talaga makipag-usap and come up with a good memorandum of agreement. Kaya sabi ko nga sana, kung anong pinag-uusapan sa Senado at Kongreso, kung ano ng mga franchise na yan, kung anong pinag-uusapan nila. Sana ang una na lang muna isipin ngayon ang problema ng pagpasok ng paralan ngayon. Kasi ang ordinaryong teacher, hindi niya masasagot ang ganyang problema. Only the officials, those who are in offices, can do something about this problem. And then dapat identify nila na may mga ganitong problema talaga sa Pilipinas. Meron nga mga teachers, nakita nyo naman siguro sa Jessica Soho at sa radyo na may mga teachers na bundok at ilang ilog ang tinatawid para makapunta ng school. At pagdating sa school na yon, wala talagang kahit nga ilaw ang mga bata sa mga bahay-bahay, wala. So that's really a huge problem. So pag sabi mo lang na modules, it will not be enough. What if students in those places are not yet literate, but they have listening comprehension? Paano nga natin magagawa yun? Thank you very much, but again, I'm just being honest with my answer. And I think this is but one of the many problems that some teachers in some provinces and some divisions in the Philippines are about to encounter. And we still have a month to prepare for that. And I think it's high time that we do something about it. Hindi kakayanin ng tutorial lang yan. Promise. Pag nag-PEPT yan o pag nag-run ng test at bumagsak, sisisihin si teacher. Kawawa naman ang teacher po. Hindi naman natin pinag-isipan ng ibang problema. Sabi kasi ang module mali. Kahit pa tamang module, kung wala namang support ka sa mga magulang, mga magulang hindi naman talaga well-educated. Tapos sisihin ng local government. Bakit mababa ang literacy rate ng aming lugar? Anong ginawa ng mga teacher? Wait. Bakit teacher agad? Dapat tumulong kayo sa amin. Pwede naman gawin ng mga magulang, ng local government is magawa ng mga environmental print. Ito, like, yung sinasabi ng environmental print, yung mga directions lang, papunta sa sitio, kaliwa, kanan, yun, makakatulong na sa mga materialis, sana yung mga ganun. Or magpagawa ng mga flashcards, pero hindi pa rin yun kasi baka hindi lang alam gamitin ng mga magulang. Importante pa rin talaga na merong at least at least siguro once a week or twice a month na meron face-to-face para lang sa input. Grupo-grupo po sila. I don't know how you can be done, pero modules alone will not suffice. I tell you. Thanks, Mitch.
Okay, sir, that's all our questions we have for now. Any last reminders po to our viewers today, sir?
Thank you very much. So let's go back to my slides. So conclusions and implications. So just one slide. Oracy provides the basis for children's growth in reading and writing. It encourages children to listen to each other, okay? Not just listening to the parents, listening to the teachers, but to each other. Have their own say, and try out a range of registers to communicate in the context. In drama, children imagine together, fully engaging with the text. Ibig sabihin, once they read, they're able to approximate how it's in reality, how it's in oral communication. Therefore, oracy with the new reality and new normal in the education system in the Philippines, ang nangyayari puro literacy ang materialis natin. Hindi natin consider na our students are struggling with literacy, therefore may dapat merong oracy input. Both parents, local government, and the educational system in itself. With that being said, I think I have given another struggle for parents and for teachers out there to do, but I'm highly suggesting that dapat mayroong oral support, oracy development for the literacy materials that you will provide your students. With that being said, I'll see you again tomorrow. Hope to see you again. How music and movement can help in the development of literacy of our students at home and even on the materials we'll be developing. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon, and please tune into other webinars of Vibal this afternoon and this evening. Thank you very much, and I had a wonderful blast with you.
Okay, there you have it. So in behalf of Vibal Group, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this very insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us, Brother Ricky, and to all our Kabibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. At muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat. See you po all tomorrow for our part 2 ng ating session.
Thank you
Bye
very much.
po!